If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, what one of the smartest men of our time, Nikola Tesla, stated. In this video, I won't be doing much of the talking, rather I'll have the scientists do most of it so you could really grasp and understand how this all works.
Everything has its own specific frequency, as we mentioned before. Prime resonance frequency, everything vibrates at its own frequency. That's how we can manipulate things with frequency and sound and resonance. All comes to the same thing when you start breaking it down. Sound and resonance are also the common links of all creation. In Christianity, we have the Word, we have the Om in Hinduism, the Egyptians that sang the universe into creation. And my favorite, the Aboriginals that believe the world was sung into creation with 3 sacred songs, or brought into creation with 3 sacred songs, which is the equivalent to the Holy Trinity. And we start seeing the whole important structure of music and resonance and chord structures, harmonic resonance in music.
So that means it's an actual sound in the track that you don't realize is there that is fucking up your entire frequency.
In addition, sound is essentially a scalar tool. To be scalar is to be harmonic, resonant, or associated with scales, such as musical scales. Being both an ancient scalar tool and an energy source, this emphasizes the critical function that sound plays.
Point of music. What's the point of music? Niggas don't know. It's not always to have fun. It's not always to have fun. Sometimes it's to help people find themselves, because music is frequency programming. Music is frequency. What frequency are you being fed? Let me be detailed. At 15 years old, I was doing sound engineering. So I was playing with frequency. I was playing with equalizers. Now, I think it's it's not a sonar wave. I forgot. It's like an alpha wave or a sonar wave or something like that. I figured out that hertz is to understand the frequency vibration, right? So there's kilohertz. There's hertz, kilohertz, megahertz, right? And then I think it's ultra hertz. If I play with those frequencies, right, I can target certain parts of the mind, target the frequency to go to certain parts of the mind, and I can literally, like, if I want you to astral project, right? You know what astral projection is? No. If I want you to astral project, or if I want you to go to sleep, or if I want you to go into a meditative state, I can make my music do that. These little niggas out here don't give a fuck enough to go into that science, bro.
We get the 6 days of creation very obviously become visible in sacred geometry, and the 6 aspects of Om show us cymatic patterns, and the 6 aspects of the all-seeing eye of Horus show us 6 very obvious resonating ratios that tell us that all these ancient cultures understood sound, resonance, and frequency, and it's encoded in all the things that they did. Sound is the source of all creation, and it's all about coherence and harmonic resonance. Even in our bodies, if the cells of our body are not in coherent harmonic resonance, our cells are in disease, and that's why we get sick. And if we're not resonating with the earth frequencies, the natural earth frequencies, we are in dis-ease with the Mother Earth that we live on and walk on, and that's why we get sick.
Everything manifests as a torus in a toroidal field, including sound. And this is what sound looks like when it manifests as a toroidal field. And this is why when our hearts beat, we create a toroidal field around our body. And that toroidal field creates an electromagnetic field around our body.
The stomach has its own magnetic field. The stomach is not simply an organ. It is an organism. It is a living thing within the human body. The same is true of the heart, the brain, the glandular structure, all the organs, the intestines, all the motor system, the nervous system, the endocrine system. These are all entities. They are entities of magnetic unities. They are part of living organisms that are cooperating together for the common good. To abuse one is to damage all. To neglect one is to neglect all. Each of these organs has its own field in the body, and all these fields together constitute the grand magnetic field that surrounds the complete person.
Everything is made up of toroidal fields. This is an electro-holographic illusion projected by your mind. To raise your vibration, your thoughts are electric, and your emotions are magnetic. Every thought has an emotion attached to it. Your emotions are felt in the heart, and the heart is 5,000 times more magnetically stronger than your brain. The human heart is the electromagnetic generator of your individual field. Living life fueled by love, passion, and joy will surely create a high vibration of flowing toroidal energy. The toroidal flow also shows us that a more harmonious human brings forth a more harmonious humanity as whole. This is not just wishful thinking, it is physics. Our unified hearts are incredibly powerful. Thus, this is why it is important to reclaim your own energy and direct it. You need to think properly and have optimistic thought patterns. This will then have an effect on positive emotions of feeling positive. It's the universal law of cause and effect. As we clean up the disharmony within, we can align to the perfect harmonics of the universe. Your thoughts internally are thoughts that affect your external perspective. When you feel these positive emotions, you're putting out an electromagnetic vibration into the ether, which positively affects every cell in your body, affecting your cells, health, and mind. You could eat the cleanest foods, but if you're feeling these low vibrational negative thought loops, you will be prone to poor health because disease only exists on that low vibrational plane. So mastering your mind is the key, which is the cause, and then the effect of mastering your emotions, which directly impacts how your life is. So never say anything negative and never associate with negative talk, because you become that vibration, which is the universal law of attraction. By doing this, you will naturally attract people who are on that similar vibration that you are vibrating on. Everyone in your life is a reflection of the vibration that you put out.
Moving sound manifests as toroidal fields. Those moving toroidal fields create magnetic fields, which are toroidal fields as well, and moving magnetic fields create electricity. That's the sequence of events. This tells us that because sound creates magnetic fields, it means everything must be magnetic in some sort. So magnetic fields do exactly what sound does. They create toroidal fields. And this is a full magnetic field, toroidal field spectrum. It's both positive and negative on both sides. There is no positive and negative in magnetic fields. This is where we've been incorrectly taught. It's actually just one field that work in opposite directions. It's centripetal forces that work against each other and oppose each other. And the complete toroidal field, like the toroidal magnetic field like this, has a both positive and a negative on both sides. So it both pushes and pulls from both sides. This is what a complete and balanced toroidal magnetic field looks like. And what it does, it has an accretion disk in the middle. There you can see that yellow accretion disk. That's the center of the magnetic field. Whichever way you turn it, it's the same. And so it goes. This is what the toroidal fields look like, or that are created by the sounds we make when we speak. And phenomenal research and work has been done to show us what the different toroidal shapes and fields look like of different letters and different sounds, especially vowels. And then as we speak, these toroidal fields that we manufacture and we create with our mouths, infinite forms, infinite shapes, infinite creativity that we manifest, actually become scalar waves and scalar technology that go into all of creation and permeate all of creation instantly. Because sound and resonance traverses all of creation instantly. And here the toroidal shapes of color. Incredible work shows us that the different kind of structures and toroids that color actually creates.
With their distinct forms and energetic signatures linked to various letters and sounds, toroidal fields transform into energy and information carriers. This means that the thoughts and words we use can change reality beyond the limits of space and time. Because they do not follow the laws of cause and effect, scalar waves can alter the very essence of reality in an instant. Our goals and the vibrational nature of our words influence the interconnected fabric of creation instantaneously through the emission of these scalar waves. Our ideas and words have great power, and the relationship between toroidal fields and scalar waves, as well as their instantaneous influence, reminds us of this. When our intents and vibrations go beyond our immediate environment, we start to realize how far-reaching our communication may be. Our conscious expressions resonate through the interconnected tapestry of creation, and the manifestation of scalar waves highlights our role as co-creators. We are inspired to approach our thoughts and words with awareness and intentionality after understanding the transformative journey from toroidal fields to scalar waves. We come to terms with the fact that our words can influence not just our own reality, but also the collective mind. The power of our words is like an energetic wave that travels at the speed of light, conveying our intentions and shaping the creative process as it unfolds.
Cymatics in the 60s will show you exactly how sound is pretty much behind everything in creation. We've already looked at sound manifesting in physical form. This is the quickest and easiest way for us to comprehend, once again, how this untouchable, invisible thing called sound can manifest in physical form. That little thing on the metal plate, or the sand on the metal plate on that video. That's just probably the quickest way for us to say, okay, sound can manifest physical shapes.
This next series of photographs are the work of Japanese researcher Mr. Masaru Emoto from his book, The Message from Water. Mr. Emoto's work provides factual evidence that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. Please remember that water comprises over 70% of a mature human body and covers the same amount on our planet. Water is the very source of all life. This next photo is from the Shimanto River, the last clean spring in Japan. Notice the extraordinary geometric forms. The fact that the molecular structure of water can be affected by our consciousness, our intent, and our sounds is extremely important. Mr. Emoto has been visually documenting these molecular changes in water by means of his photographic techniques. He freezes droplets of water, then examines them under a dark field microscope that has photographic capabilities. His work clearly demonstrates the diversity of the molecular structure of water and the effects of the environment upon the structure of the water. This photo is from contaminated water from the Yodo River in Japan. In this photo we can compare the contaminated water with clean stream water. Look at the difference. Mr. Emoto decided to see what effects music would have upon the structure of water. He placed distilled water between two speakers for several hours while playing different music and then photographing the crystals that formed after the water was frozen. This photo is of water being exposed to Beethoven's Pastorale. This next photo is water being exposed and affected to music that was designed for healing. This photo is of water being exposed to the Kawachi folk dance. This photo shows the effect of heavy metal music upon the water. Here now we can compare the effects of healing versus heavy metal music and what happens to the water molecules. Mr. Emoto decided to see how thoughts and words affected the formation of untreated distilled water crystals. This photo shows the effects of the words, "thank you." This next photo shows the effects of the words, "love" and "appreciation." This photo shows the effects of the words, "you make me sick, I will kill you." And here we can compare the effects of "thank you" with the "you make me sick, I will kill you." Very, very different geometric forms being incurred through the intention. Now this photo is of a very polluted and toxic water from the Fujiwara Dam. Here now is the same water from the Fujiwara Dam after a Buddhist monk had offered a prayer over it. Prayer, that sound coupled with intention, seems to have an extraordinary ability of restoring water to its natural, harmonious, geometric symmetry. And in this photo we can compare the toxic water and then the effects of praying over the water.
And sound also inspired religious symbols, because the guys that created the religious symbols know all this stuff. These guys knew all this stuff, and they know they're all connected to the ancient bloodlines. And some of these beautiful images of the cymatic patterns, when you drill into it, you get that perfect cross in a circle of the source of the sound. And that's it. The source of the sound is this beautiful cross in a circle, and this is why most of the religious movements have the cross in a circle as their symbol. Sound and resonance that does everything you can imagine, right? Creates light, levitates, boils water, creates DNA. Sound heals and destroys pathogens, moves beyond the speed of light. We have hypersound and laser and Saser technology, not laser, sound lasers, Saser. Sound makes things invisible, energizes the water we drink, so the water actually heals us, and it also energizes the air that we breathe, so that we can actually survive from the air that we breathe. Otherwise, we would not survive from the air that we breathe if it wasn't for sound.
Incidentally, the magnetic theory is based upon a very simple fact, namely that what we call empty air is not empty at all. It is the most profoundly used all the elements that we know anything about. We all live within air and have our being, and we know that if air fails, we die. But what we do not realize is that air is not just some oxygen or helium or something of this nature. Air is something in itself. It is a substance of itself. It is a substance so real and so important that it's almost impossible to estimate it. It is a tremendous field of magnetic energy. The atmosphere carries the magnetism of the sun. The study of the magnetic powers of the sun will be more or less clearly understood by the study of the seasons. Winter, summer, spring, and these things have all to do with a magnetic factor in the air. And we think of it only as in trying to explain it as a physical astronomical phenomena, since as the rotation and revolutions of the sun and planets. But each of these planets is a field of magnetic energy. And this energy comes to us through what we call air. One thing we have learned from television is that air transmits. We know, for instance, that we can have all kinds of programs on the air at the same time. And they can come from all directions. And they can overlap and interlap. But each one will remain separately identified as though it was moving in a channel or circuit of its own. Something went through with vibration. And this vibration in the magnetic field can be divided into an infinite complexity of separate emanation. In other words, if we had 1,000 different channels, they could be differentiated in the magnetic field, so that each one would be broadcast correctly and properly for whatever it is. Thus we realize there's something out there besides air, something besides helium and oxygen, something besides the ordinary factors we take into consideration scientifically. We are in the presence of a mysterious agent, an agent that is part of everything that we are.
And very importantly, sound is the precursor to electromagnetism, not the other way around. Sound causes electromagnetism. This is a big one for us to come to terms with. Ancient civilizations understood all this, and they used sound and frequency as a source of energy in every possible way. They used sound and frequency to control humanity.
The beginning of the study of magnetism can be traced back to Egypt. Also, we find the Greeks used it, and among the Greeks and early Egyptians, we have the first understanding of the nature of magnetism. It was used principally in healing. It was well known to Pythagoras, who gave us considerable information on the subject, which was promptly forgotten by everybody else. Then we have little knowledge of it, except of the Arabs. The Chinese were aware of it because of the discovery of the mariner's compass. But for the most part, it was neglected until the 17th century, when it became involved in the story of Rosicrucianism. The alchemists, the Rosicrucians, and the Hermetists all were unfolding phases of magnetic theory.
And it seems that they were focusing for some reason on our pineal gland. They had to destroy our pineal gland, and the more you study this, the more you realize why that was critical, because it seems that our pineal gland was that third eye that so many of us are aware of, or we keep calling it our third eye, that connected us to everything in creation and allowed us to pick up the frequencies and the invisible, untouchable, unfathomable stuff through the third eye and actually be able to communicate telepathically with everything and everyone and interact not only with other beings, but with other entities and beings and animals and trees and rocks because of our third eye.
This energy comes from the sun. It comes through a mysterious energy tube in the magnetic field. It enters the individual through the crown of the head. It disseminates through the entire body, and it's excreted back again through the lower centers of the body and is recleansed by the solar energy. This is a kind of a little private tank or capsule of light that we are all carrying about with us all the time.
That thing there is the magic part of our body and our anatomy that's been completely destroyed, and it seems from all these images that they took a lot of time and effort to destroy our pineal gland, and they continue to do so today, as you are aware of. And they used cone-shaped tools to do this. This is a key thing here. You can clearly see the cone-shaped tools, and this is a repetitive theme all the time, and the pineal gland, and also, by the look of it, the DNA that is obviously the code that creates the pineal gland in our anatomy eventually. And sound and frequency, very important. Sound creates light. Even this, you attach a LED light to a speaker, and you put a speaker in a noisy place, you light the little LED up. That's spectacular. So it works both ways, light and sound. Every sound frequency has a light frequency, and every light frequency has a sound frequency attached to it.
Then we come down a little later, and we come upon a curious instrument, Mesmer's magnetic tub. This was a kind of tank in which many people put their feet at the same time and held hands and created a battery out of the water in the tank.
In Egypt, the ankh was used for healing. That's just a resonating device, sound frequency resonating for healing. The Native American medicine wheel is clearly just a cross in a circle as a source of all things, so from sound to heal people. Royal Rife, the man who cured all disease, 1931, they did that with sound and resonance and frequency. Spectacular achievement in curing cancer in the wards. This is his handwritten book that I had the privilege of seeing. It's in a private library in Sedona, Arizona. There's about 700 pages in there, I think, and they are page after page with his own handwritten frequencies for all the different diseases. One of my biggest, most exciting obsessions at the moment, and if there are people in this room who can do this, please go away and do this. You know that honey lasts forever. It doesn't go off. It's not affected by viruses, bacteria, pathogens. It's one of those miraculous things. Apparently, the reason that honey does that is because of the frequencies of the bees' wings when they're building the honeycombs and when they're creating and bringing in the honey. So it's a frequency of the bee's wings that creates the hexagonal structure of honeycombs. It's also interesting is that the hexagonal structure is a structure of oxygenated and structured water that cures disease.
Now, we can say that it would be very unlikely that we'll say a potato could have a magnetic field of its own, but it does. In fact, every cell within the potato has a magnetic field of its own. Therefore, we come into the problem of nutrition. And nutrition is very largely the study of the magnetic fields of various food products. It also tells us what happens when these food products are adulterated or are variously misused or poisonous elements are introduced into them. All this is part of a mystery that is solved in magnetism. We pass laws against these misuses, but we fail to realize that it is not just the physical factor that we have to work with. The physical factor is only a fragment of it. The main problem is to realize that behind all of these problems, whether of government or of religion or of philosophy, all these things are in trouble because of lack of integrity. And integrity is simply keeping the laws and rules of energy fields. Now, studying magnetism as it comes into the human body, we've discovered along with Hilda that each human body is surrounded by an etheric or energy field. This energy field is sometimes referred to as an aura, but it is not the true aura that we think of in metaphysics. This magnetic field is an area of energy. This area of energy forms an egg-like atmospheric sheath around the physical body, usually extending 3 to 5 feet from it in each direction. This energy field is the basis of virtue, because this energy field depends for its reality, its serviceability, and its protecting power to move emotion, thought, and the attitudes of the person around which this magnetic field is gathered. In other words, the individual, if they are normal, mentally, emotionally, and physically, they are keeping the rules. This magnetic field forms a tremendous protection. It is normal, it is healthy, it is constantly able to handle infections and all kinds of difficulties. It will help to heal wounds, it will help to recover the use of functions and organs, and if we are deprived of some part of the body, it will try to compensate for it. As long as the individual takes proper care of his magnetic field, it will serve him.
By connecting with the energy flow that penetrates the universe, we harmonize with the cycles of creation through mindful conversation. The ability to express ourselves creatively gives us the ability to make a difference in our lives and the world at large. We have the power to influence our own reality and the lives of those around us by the words we choose to use. Fostering growth, healing, and the expansion of consciousness, conscious communication allows us to kindle the flame of creativity in ourselves and others. As we have delved into toroidal fields, the multidimensional harmony of vowels, their connection to scalar waves, and the expressive power of language, we have discovered the deep interaction between energy, language, and the invisible realms of reality. These ideas shed light on how we can mold our reality and the life-altering potential of purposeful communication.
Now, this is a phase of morality that is generally overlooked. It is assumed that these magnetic fields are something you don't pay much attention to. They're there, maybe they'll help a little. But the truth of the matter is that practically the whole survival of the individual depends upon maintaining the integrity of this flow of energy into the magnetic field. Now, the problem of morality in this is very definite. The moment we break rules, we damage that magnetic flow. We have got to keep the laws of nature, and these in turn are the laws of God, or the magnetic field fails. It can fail because of physical intemperances, which reduce its integrity and reduce its power. It can be wasted in riotous living, which is such a common cause these days. It can be variously destroyed by moods, by attitudes, by fears, by complexes. It can be destroyed or damaged by alcohol, drugs, narcotics, all kinds of things. But if this field is damaged, it immediately reacts into health. It damages the individual's vitality. It makes him more easily subject to contagions and infections, and it definitely shortens the life expectancy.